start again. It's a Redskin.
What's going on, everybody? It's the Bull Show, aka Aidan, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be discussing some key takeaways and some things I would like to see ahead of our next game against the Indiana Pacers. Now, in terms of quality of team, you could arguably say that the Indiana Pacers are not as good as a team as the Boston Celtics. But all things considered, we know the Chicago Bulls, and we know just how crazy the NBA can be sometimes, where teams play to the opponent's level and also do not find forms of consistency. So today I want to talk about some of those key takeaways and what it could mean for the Chicago Bulls in hoping for a win against the Indiana Pacers. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show. Turn notifications on and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls' chances against the Indiana Pacers. Of course, do you see us winning the game? Is there any chance that we could lose this type of game as well? Your overall thoughts and opinions on the Bulls and these key takeaways as well. The first thing I want to see is the starting lineup finally have a chance to actually start the game well. 4 games in a row now in which the Chicago Bulls have ended the first quarter, I believe, behind, but also has had very, very bad starts to games. The Boston Celtics one was probably the worst, in all honesty, yet we somehow managed to walk away with a very, very solid win. And that's because we were so steady and so, I guess, really good in the other 3 quarters that the first quarter, of course, became a little bit more irrelevant. No one really talked about it, but that is definitely a worry and a concern for the Chicago Bulls. We have to learn how to start games well. I remember this being a problem last year for the Chicago Bulls as well. It's not necessarily just a this year problem. I have seen countless times the Chicago Bulls start poorly to games last year as well. So we have to find a way to improve that. We need to find a way to make sure that we can control the game from the very beginning to the very end of the game. And that is one of the most important key takeaways I'd like to see. Against the Indiana Pacers, arguably, this is the team where we can go and try and experiment some things where we can actually have an energetic and good start to the game. Maybe you can try a certain random offense. Maybe you can go and get a couple of buckets early. Maybe you set the tone defensively. But it has to come from the start of the game. The Bulls cannot keep playing catch-up in these games. We cannot go down 19 points again and expect to win every single game. We cannot go down by 10 points in the first quarter and expect to win every game. It doesn't happen like that. We've got to learn to control the game, but we've got to learn to manage the game from early. Very, very important key takeaway there, ladies and gentlemen. I also want to see the continuation of how we saw our offense in the last game. Vucevic and Andre Drummond had a great game against the Boston Celtics. Now, we know why. Boston played a lot smaller than us, and we like to play small ball, but Boston played a lot smaller than us. Vucevic had a field day in the paint, but the ball finally went to Vucevic in the post. The ball finally went to the person that was, I guess, on the receiving end of a pick and roll. It wasn't DeMar DeRozan shooting the mid-range shot, more to, I guess, a guy like Derrick Jones Jr. going into the pick and roll, or Vucevic going into the pick and roll. The entry in the post was really, really solid. Our passing in general was absolutely amazing, and there's no secret why guys like Ayo Dosunmu had a great game, why guys like Goran Dragic also had a great game, why guys like Alex Caruso also played a great game, and guys just in general had really solid games, and including Derrick Jones Jr. And that's because of the movement of this team and the ball movement of this team. The ball went to these players that made the movements, that made the cuts, that made everything possible to get an easy bucket. And we need to see this more often. This was what we saw against Denver in the preseason. It's what we saw again in the Boston Celtics game. We have to see it again in the Indiana Pacers game. We have to make sure that our movements will make other teams pay. Derrick Jones Jr., the reason why he's playing is because he had so much off-ball movement that it really affected the Boston Celtics. They had to foul him. That he ended up getting a couple of open dunks, all of his free throw attempts. Nikola Vucevic moving without the ball, in place for offensive rebounds, entries into the post. You can count how many easy layups he got in the paint as well. It's just easy sometimes when you move the ball a little bit more, and it makes sense to do that as well. It's not just an isolation team. It's good to have isolation in small dosages. I think I've said that for 2 straight years now, but it can't be the main source of offense. And I think we saw that against the Cavs. We saw too many isolation ball, not enough movement, too stagnant, everybody relying on DeMar or Zach or Vucevic to make, I guess, a play out of nothing. But team basketball and team movement really helps us win games. And I hope it's the stepping stone for the Bulls to learn that. But we should have learned that last year. Hopefully we can learn it again this year with this team and keep up those good level of performances. The bench mob. absolutely amazing in the last game against Boston, and I guess 3 out of the 4 games I really have praised the bench mob of this team. I'd like to see the bench mob continue to do its thing. I want to see guys like Goran Dragic and Andre Drummond continue to link up offensively and defensively. I want to see guys like Alex Caruso setting the tone as soon as he comes onto the court. I'll never forget how bad Jason Tatum kind of played. He didn't have a bad game, but as soon as Alex Caruso came into the game, Jason Tatum's game changed. He pressured Jason Tatum so much, and he had forced Jason Tatum to take tough shots, which resulted in that amazing start that he had to kind of die down a little bit, cool off, and it really helped the Chicago Bulls as well as we went on a massive run. Energy and defense off of that bench were very much well needed, and it's something we need to see going forward as well. I also want to see Billy Donovan continue to use appropriate and, I guess, well-adjusted lineups according to how the game is played. It's something that we criticized him a lot last year, how he always ran the same minutes and the same guys no matter how good or bad they were playing. This year, I hope he continues to do something different. Last game against Boston was unique because we saw Patrick Williams and Kobe White not play a lot of minutes from, I guess, the beginning of the game to where they were. Kobe White only played 9 minutes. Patrick Williams only played 15 or 14 minutes. At the end of the day, he went with guys that really made the difference. He went with guys like Derrick Jones Jr., who got a lot more minutes in that Boston game compared to any other game that he played before that. And some of those games he simply didn't play before that as well. And it just really helped this Chicago Bulls team. It made a very big difference. And that can go with Kobe White as well. Let's just say Kobe White comes into this game against the Indiana Pacers, makes his first 2 threes of the game. He's heating up, he's warming up. We know he's instant offense when he's playing at his best. You play Kobe White more minutes than other guys because Kobe White can make the difference in that game. Making different lineups for different games. Not necessarily, I guess, switching everything up. But at the same time, if someone's not having a great night, it's okay to play them less minutes and put other guys in their place that plays good minutes as well. Going with players that are not making an impact, it will affect our team in the long term if we continue to do that. So very positive stuff for Billy Donovan, and at the end of the day, he made a key adjustment there, and one that I think all of us noticed, and I think we have to keep seeing that. And the last thing I want to see for the Chicago Bulls, I do not want to see the Bulls play down to opponents' level. Now, it's still early on in the season to see who's going to be the best of the best team and who's going to be the worst of the worst team. But judging on the off-season that teams have had, you can kind of show which teams are expected to do well and expected not to do well. Indiana was a team that went a little bit younger, traded one of their best players in Sabonis last season and acquired a lot of draft picks and things like that, and they're still potentially looking to trade certain guys. They're not in a team in a position right now to be competing for a playoff spot. Maybe at best they're a play-in team, but they're just not on that level at the moment. And I think their start of the season has been a relatively negative one. I think they've won 1 game, correct me if I'm wrong. So we can't play to the Indiana Pacers level. We have to show that we're a quality above them. We did a great job in doing that last year. For the most part, we beat the teams that we need to beat, whether it's by a close game or a game that we blew out a team. But we can see that the Bulls has, I guess, the ability to perform really badly in games. And we need to learn how to win these types of games when we play badly. So whether we come out off guns blazing in the next game against the Pacers or we come out and we struggle and we don't perform well, I hope we don't play to the opponent's level and just not try on defense or just not have stagnation. Whether we make or miss our shots, I want to see good ball movement. I want to see us play to our level because eventually those shots will fall when we're playing well. And we've got to learn how to win those games when we don't play well and make sure we can maintain our record and just our overall level of play. I want, I guess, Billy Donovan to come in and say against the Indiana Pacers, even if we win by 2 or 3 points, the system was there. The ball movement was there. We played very well. We played the style that we wanted to play, but shots were not falling. That's what I want to hear Billy Donovan say if we win or lose that game. I don't want to hear Billy Donovan say in a press conference, I don't want to hear anybody say in a press conference, no one moved for each other. The defensive pressure wasn't there. And then on account of that, we weren't making shots because at the end of the day, we've then managed to go lower than our level and we play to the opponent's level, probably even worse than that. So I guess that makes sense. I hope that makes sense for you guys. And those are some of the takeaways I'd like to see for the Chicago Bulls ahead of our next game against the Pacers. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. Have a wonderful and safe day, Bulls Nation. I'll see you in another Chicago Bulls video. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care. And peace.